On this episode of Cape Media News, Harwich Affordable Housing Trust deliberation. Yarmouth Select Board responds to new DEP watershed regulations, and Chatham search for a new COA site finds a familiar location. These stories and more tonight on Cape Media News. Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyper-local news that matters. I'm Carolyn Carey. First up, the Harwich Board of Selectmen has made some changes to the composition of the Harwich Housing Affordable Trust. The board action was advertised as a discussion on the Housing Trust and resulted in the resignation of the board's representative to the trust after a lengthy discussion. For more on this, here, Cape Media News, Ryan Thompson.
This is not about retaliation. This is not about bullying. This is about dysfunction. This is about 5 years of a trust and not moving the needle forward.
For several years, the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust has been facing a number of challenges, leading to frustration among its trustees. But during the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust meeting on January 17th, it seemed as though the trust had reached their boiling point.
You could have called.
You will yield. You will yield. You do not have the right.
At a subsequent Board of Selectmen meeting on January 23rd, Town Administrator Joe Powers apologized for how the meeting was conducted, acknowledging that it was not up to par.
I apologize to the members of the trust, to the participants that were present, to the board, and certainly to the residents and the citizens of our town. I regret the manner in which I comported myself and the manner in which the meeting was led.
However, the story does not end there. At the next Board of Selectmen meeting on January 30th, the motion was presented to remove some or all members of the Affordable Housing Trust in order to rectify its dysfunctionality.
Housing is one of the topics that has been talked about since I started 8 years ago, and that's all we've talked about. It's an emergency, but we're not moving that needle forward. And there is absolutely no symmetry on that committee.
Richard Waystack, a prominent member of the community, urged the board not to go through with this action.
I think it's a bad precedent to remove people because we don't agree with what they're doing. Harwich, we are better than this. I ask you not to move forward with this tonight.
But the pressure was just too high. After some finger-pointing between members, Chairman Michael McCaskill asked Don Howell if he would be willing to step down from the Affordable Housing Trust.
Don, are you willing to step down as the selectman appointee to allow another selectman to get on there?
No. You can remove me because that's really what you want to do, and you've been wanting to do that since April of 2021.
In response, McCaskill motioned for Howell's removal, which was then seconded by Mary Anderson.
That's what grown-ups do. They sit down and they talk things out. And you're behind the scenes, not talking to people, stirring things up. And I just think this needs to change.
Facing the possibility of a vote, Don Howell decided to resign from the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, avoiding further conflict. The rest of the board agreed that no further action was required at the time, bringing the matter to a close.
I appreciate your taking that step, Don. I know that isn't your desire, and it takes a big person to do that, so I appreciate that. I suggest we let this ride and see if we can make things work.
This latest development highlights the ongoing challenges faced by the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust and the need for a functional solution to address the housing crisis in the community. For Cape Media News, I'm Ryan Thompson.
We all know road closures can be a nightmare for your rush hour commute. But residents in the town of Barnstable can now receive updates via the Waze navigation app. As a Waze for Citizens partner, the town of Barnstable will be sharing real-time road closures and detour information directly with the Waze platform. Residents will be able to get information about official road closures, surroundings, and sewer installation construction sites, as well as vineyard wind construction operations. Users will also be able to receive updates when roadways reopen earlier than expected. Real-time updates will not be available for less invasive roadway impacts, such as a single lane closure. The annual town election for the town of Dennis is coming up this spring on Tuesday, May 9th. Vacancies for the town include 2 3-year terms for select board members, 1 1-year term for a select board member, 1 3-year term for a DY school committee member, 2 4-year terms for Old King Highways Regional Historic District Committee member, 1 5-year term Dennis Housing Authority member, and 1 3-year term on the Water District Commission. Nomination papers are available at the town clerk's office and will need to be picked up no later than Friday, March 17th at 4:30 p.m. and must be submitted back to the clerk's office by Tuesday, March 21st, no later than 5 p.m. For more information about the nomination process, please contact the town clerk's office. Valentine's Day is coming up, and coyote mating season is well underway. During this time, you may see coyotes out more than usual during the day while they're searching for mates. It's important to keep a close eye on your pets as they may become easy targets for coyotes. If possible, cats should be kept inside, especially in the low light hours, and dogs of all sizes should still be monitored closely and leashed, as coyotes are known to protect themselves against larger dogs if they feel threatened. It's recommended that you stay outside with your pets, as even your presence in an enclosed yard may deter a coyote from entering. The Barnstable Performing Arts Center will become a time machine to the Roaring '20s this weekend. From short films by Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton to music, dances, and radio dramas of the 1920s. This event aims to bring entertainment of the past into the modern day. This variety show was created by Drew Zaremba and Kyle Gordon, who will host the event and even compose new music for Chaplin and Keating's film. The Roaring '20s event has 2 showtimes, Saturday the 11th at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday the 12th at 3 p.m. The Harwich Community Center will be hosting their annual Find a Duck event on February 22nd. 10 ducks will be hidden both indoors and outside on the grounds of the community center. Starting at 8 a.m., participants can begin searching for the hidden ducks and turn them into the front desk for prizes. In connection with the Find a Duck event, the community center is hosting a decorated duck contest. Participants were able to pick up their ducks last week and take them home to decorate them. All ducks must be returned February 18th and will be a part of the Ducks on Display event during the week of school vacation, February 21st through the 24th. Prizes will be awarded to the most creative, best Harwich Community Center duck, and best overall. For more information about this free event, please contact the Harwich Community Center at 508-430-7568. Construction continues this week in Chatham on Route 137 Morton Road Sewer Extension Project, as well as the Queen Anne Pumping Station upgrade. CC Construction continues its sewer work on Meeting House Road, progressing north from the Route 28 intersection, as well as site work at Pump Station number 3 on Meeting House Road. Site work also continued on Queen Anne Pumping Station upgrade on the southeast corner of Queen Anne Road and Oyster Pond Furlong. Looking ahead, CC Construction is expected to start sewer work on Mill Hill Road on Monday, February 13th, as well as continue site work at Pump Station number 3 and the Queen Anne Pumping Station. N&M Excavating is expected to continue work on Crowell Road, Phase 2, and the Chatham Fish Pier Infrastructure Project. Although the work area is still to be determined, roads will be passable at the end of each day, and police details and signage will be in place to assist motorists during construction. Normal work hours are between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, weather permitting. Recycling is more important than ever, and recently the Yarmouth DPW hosted a recycling education event for a local Girl Scout troop. For more information on this, here's Cape Media News' Ryan Downs.
The Town of Yarmouth's Department of Public Works recently hosted Girl Scout Troop 77411. Assistant Public Works Director Roby Whitehouse taught the girls about recycling and waste management, as well as other functionalities of the DPW.
They were really excited about making rugs, making Barbie clothes out of old socks. They had some really great ideas. That's the real takeaway, is that they think about recycling.
The girls enjoyed cookies and coloring during their slideshow presentation on responsible recycling, wish cycling, and composting.
There's a lot of changes in recycling. There's a lot of new initiatives. There's new laws. The waistband laws have changed, and I think all adults and children should be more aware, certainly about textiles and understanding the importance of making sure that items that are made of cloth should not be put in our waste stream.
Following the presentation, the scouts were taken on a tour of the facility to see some of the trucks and machinery they had just learned about.
The objective is always about recycling education. And no matter whether you're young or you're old, there's always more to learn about recycling.
After the tour, Roby awarded the troop with their recycling patches, and the troop awarded Roby with, of course, cookies. For Cape Media News, I'm Ryan Downs.
Coming up after the break, Yarmouth Select Board's response to new DEP regulations, and our news director Mitch Sox sits down with Chatham Selectman Mike Schell. Stay tuned.
On Thursday, January 26, 2023 at 7 p.m., Cape Media Center played host to their first open mic night of the 2023 season, and second since the revival. Returning as MC, Cape Media News' very own Christian Garnett.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second of this series of open mic nights. The acts that we have here at the open mic nights are anything from comedy, music, spoken word, poetry, anything that people can do with a microphone.
Maybe I'll start off my bit on a high note. No. Well, actually, between you and me is a microphone, but
Told you how to do it before, of lining them up and making sure it's in a square motion.
The event was free to sign up, as well as free admission, not just for members of the Cape Media Center, but the general public. The night's acts featured talent from all over the Cape.
I'm hoping that everybody will walk away just having enjoyed the event, and maybe they have a willingness to come back next time.
Whether it's your first performance, 15th performance, or your first time at Cape Media Center, Open Mic Night is a great opportunity to showcase your skills.
Memory loss. Slipped away into the night, not to return until morning. But when morning came, all I wanted to do was slip right back into the night.
I expect to see 9 great acts and something new from them, even the ones that have returned from last time or even the time before. It's something new every time, and that's what I like about these events.
The blues came out at midnight, left round 4:30.
If you feel you missed your opportunity, fear not. Cape Media Center is striving to make this a quarterly event and will host 3 more open mic nights in 2023.
Welcome back, and be sure to watch the full open mic event right here on Comcast Channel 99, Wednesday, February 15th at 9 p.m. The town of Chatham is now accepting applications for those interested in serving on the Cape Cod National Seashore Advisory Commission. The commission was last authorized for a 10-year period, which reached its sunset date on September 26, 2018. However, it was reestablished late last year when President Biden signed the Consolidation Appropriation Act. In the past, the commission provided recommendations on a variety of issues, including personal watercraft usage and the future use and management of the dune shacks of the Peaked Hills Bars Historical District. The Secretary of the Interior will appoint 1 voting member and 1 alternate from nominations forwarded by the Select Board. The Select Board must forward the nominations to the Cape Cod National Seashore Superintendent by February 23rd. Those interested in being considered for the 2-year appointment should fill out the Town Talent Bank application at chatham-ma.gov. Wastewater management is an issue that all towns on Cape are grappling with. While the town of Yarmouth worked with the DEP on its 8-phase wastewater project, possible new regulations threaten to undo years of progress. Ryan Downs has more.
Last month, during a weekly meeting of the Yarmouth Board of Selectmen, one of the topics on focus for the night was the review of a drafted letter to the Department of Environmental Protection. The letter strongly opposes the DEP's newly proposed Title V and Watershed permit regulations. Title V of the State Environmental Code requires the proper siting, construction, and maintenance of all on-site wastewater disposal systems.
I think the most critical issue that we're pointing out in this correspondence is that we have worked in partnership with the Department of Environmental Protection and all of the associated agencies, our regional government, to establish a comprehensive wastewater management plan and developing the most efficient solution to reduce our nitrogen to the TMDLs, those maximum daily loading amounts. And we have a proposal that's on the table to start phase 1 of that remediation at this town meeting. And after working for several years with the DEP and then spending at least $5 million to date on developing this program, it just appears at the 11th hour, new regulations are proposed which confuse the issue, introduce an element of the potential installation of the alternative, innovative septic systems that, based on the TMDLs that we have for our particular watersheds, these systems won't meet the water quality guidelines that we set forth.
The new proposal would require maintenance after 20 years, while the current enacted plan was scheduled to last 40 years, leaving each homeowner to cover an estimated $30,000 in expenses on septic upgrades and the town to face a deficit estimated at $1 billion in accommodations.
We're not the only ones that oppose this. I mean, there are towns all throughout the region that are opposed to it. Mostly the officials, boards of health, have raised some very valid objections and concerns about this proposal as being unworkable. I read a letter the other day from the Coalition for Buzzards Bay, and they came out strongly against it. And again, for folks that are watching, there are legislators now that are filing bills to halt this and to stop this and to prevent it from going forward, and if it does go forward in any form, that the state pay for it, the state fund it.
It's just surprising, and it's, in my judgment, not really a practical or well thought out plan on DEP's part.
After many revisions at each of the board's meetings this year, the board came to unanimous decision in endorsing the letter, and Chairman Stone signed off on it.
Yeah, I want to make it very clear that if there's anybody at home watching, that this letter puts the Board of Selectmen on record as being opposed to the DEP draft regulations. And we make it very, very clear that the septic system burden on individual homeowners is excessive. We oppose that as well. It's just totally and completely unworkable.
The letter is a public document and available to read on the town website.
Cape towns need to be represented. They need to be at the table in that final process. When the draft rules were done, there were a lot of people at the table, but Cape towns were not represented.
No, there was not a single town, Cape Cod town on that
Exactly.
committee.
And I think one of the op-eds that we saw was that if you're either at the table or on the menu.
For Cape Media News, I'm Ryan Downs.
Thank you, Ryan. And now a look at the week ahead. Chatham residents will once again be presented with a site for the Council on Aging's new Center for Active Living facility. The site, donated by resident Bill Marsh, was previously voted on in the 2021 annual town meeting. However, the site did not reach the necessary 2/3 majority threshold. But town officials are hopeful that the site will be approved at this year's town meeting. Our news director, Mitch Sock, sat down this week with Chatham Select Board member Mike Schell to talk about the importance of this new facility on this week's edition of Cape Media News Insights.
So the Council on Aging has been looking for a site to construct their active living center for some time now. What makes the location at 1610 Main Street an ideal location for this facility?
That's a good question. As you perhaps know, a number of different areas of locations have been considered out on Middle Road, up on the Marconi, on Old Comers Road. Some talk about putting it at the community center, or adding on to the community center to do that. West Chatham is a really vibrant, neighborhood center already. It's the second biggest neighborhood center in Chatham. Obviously, the main drag in Chatham is the largest. But there are shops, there are restaurants, there's a medical facility out there, there are professional offices out in that neighborhood. There's a planning process going on at the planning board, focusing on the West Chatham Neighborhood Center. And putting this in that location is an opportunity to help spur that development, if you will. And it's also next door to a conservation area, which has got a nice path down to Bierce's Lake. And, it's a good place for a nice walk even today.
So this is not the first time the town has been presented with this site. 1610 was voted on in the 2021 annual town election. And while it received a majority of the votes, it didn't cross the necessary 2/3 threshold. What were some of the issues voters had with the site, and what has been done to address those concerns?
I think the biggest issue, as I look back at it, the biggest issue was we were just coming out of the pandemic. From March of 2020 into early 2021, basically everything was shut down. Businesses were either shut down or operating on a very, very limited basis. Restaurants were doing takeout only. People had lost jobs. And there was no real guarantee. I mean, the vaccine started to be prevalent just about that time. And there was a lot of uncertainty. And a lot of people said, gee, is this the right time? Are we, can we be sure that we're coming out of this and the economy is going to recover? And it's a big project. So that was one element. The other element, frankly, was we were also in the middle of completing the roadway improvements out there between the two roundabouts, rotaries, and I think people were not sure exactly what impact on traffic that was gonna have. Interestingly enough, at our select board meeting last night, we had a lady who lives out there. Stood up and commented that she had been opposed to it, among other reasons, because of that uncertainty, and that she's now in favor of this effort because she's seen how the roadway is functioning and how the rotaries are functioning, and she's very comfortable that it's going to be a good development for that area. So I think, in terms of how we addressed it, I think the biggest thing will be to get the facts out and let people know what this is going to do for Chatham and for Chatham seniors, but also for other segments of the community.
Final thoughts for voters on why they should vote yes on this?
There's a real thing here in Chatham, and I think in the town meeting system on Cape Cod, in Massachusetts as well, that the voters get the facts, discuss the issues that are going to be on the warrant and on which they're going to be asked to legislate, which is what they're really doing. And so I want to be respectful of that process and say that over the next, I guess we probably got about 10 or 11 weeks, maybe not quite 12, before the meeting, that it's going to be important for us and for everybody who's interested to make sure we get all the facts out there. I know the COA has dedicated, the Council on Aging Board has dedicated itself to the notion that we're going to get the facts out and we're going to answer the questions and so forth. So I'm a big supporter of that, and I think that's an important aspect of the process. At the same time, the last time there was frankly some misinformation or misapprehensions that floated around, and I think it'll be important to make sure that people are not misled by rumors or that sort of thing. So that's a big part of the process. Having said all of that, however, I do think that this is something that's it's good for West Chatham, it's good for Chatham seniors, it's good for the Chatham younger working people who have to deal with the huge growth in house prices here. Chatham can afford it. It is a sizable project, but we've done other things of this size, and we can absolutely afford it. And I think it's a vindication of our commitment to serve all segments of the people of Chatham. So I think people will conclude that it's something that they want to vote for.
Great. Well, Mike, thank you so much for sitting down with me, and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yep, me too. Call me anytime. I'm happy to talk about it anytime you want to.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to catch the full interview on Comcast Channel 99 next week. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tune in next week for more hyper-local news that matters. For Cape Media News, I'm Carolyn Carey.